Hi, Fierce Working Moms. How's it going? I'm so glad to be with you again today. Uh, I've got a lot to talk about. I've heard from a number of you. Last week we talked about transition and what a difficult time this is going into summer and balancing everything that we're dealing with at work versus everything that we're dealing with at home and transitioning our kids from schools to camp and perhaps dealing with new initiatives and projects at work or end of year evaluations. Today I want to talk about the kind of result of all of that mayhem and the utter exhaustion that comes out of it. And so that's kind of what I wanted to target today, that feeling of just exhaustion. I don't even know how else to describe it. Maybe you want to sleep all the time. Maybe getting out of bed is like an incredible feat. I definitely know how that feels. Maybe, you're feeling burnt out. Maybe you're at this point just sort of resigned to the fact that you're going to live as a tired person the rest of your life because this is just how things are once you have kids and you have a career, and having it all is a ridiculous thing to want, even though that's exactly what our moms told us that we were going to have. So I want to dig into the tired, the exhaustion, the feeling of kind of lack of energy. It's really hard to operate when you're feeling so de-energized. And so I've kind of thought about it in three buckets, right? As fierce working moms, we tend to expend a great deal of energy emotionally, cognitively, and physically. So I want to talk about those three buckets. And I think, based on my experience, based on the experience of the incredible women that I've been working with over the past 10 years, even tweaking one of those buckets, how you're dealing with your emotional energy and expending it, your physical energy and how you're expending it, or your cognitive energy and how you're expending it, even tweaking one of those can make a world of difference. So let's dive in. Emotional energy. All right. We have been socialized and trained to kind of carry everybody else's feelings. And right now, post-COVID, we're living in a world where, in a lot of ways, for the first time, people are becoming very attuned to their feelings and much more willing to share them than they were prior to COVID. And so what that does is, in our leadership positions in the workplace, we're managing coworkers' feelings, we're managing the feelings of our direct reports, even managing up, we're managing the feelings of our managers and supervisors. And we end up holding a lot of those feelings ourselves because that's what we've been trained to do. And then that's coupled with all of the feelings that are happening in our homes, right? All of our children, whether you have one, whether you have several, I have three. All three of them are feeling a lot of things going from school into summer. My daughter is 8 and she's going to sleepaway camp for the first time. It's just a starter sleepaway camp, so she's going away for 2 weeks. And she's like really anxious about it, and she's having a lot of feelings, and it's hard. It's really hard because I feel myself holding her feelings and holding mine because she's going away for the first time. And of course, my other children are experiencing lots of feelings as well due to their respective transitions and changes. And I know that I myself and many, many of the women that I work with just automatically take that on. And by taking it on, we're expending a tremendous amount of emotional energy. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to take on other people's feelings, even just a little bit. Which brings us to the second bucket, which is cognitive energy. So in order for all of these transitions to transpire, we really need to engage our logistical brains, our strategic brains, and it's a huge project to build out a family calendar, especially one that has been highly routinized because of the way that school and after school works, and how work has kind of gotten into a groove over the course of the year, and then all of a sudden things are changing because school and after school isn't, it's not consistent anymore. And so all of these new logistics and strategic decisions need to be made. And we talked last time about how it's impossible to make good decisions when you're in like high alert. And often these cognitive decisions need to be made during times of high alert. And so that just increases the amount of cognitive energy that we're expending, because it contributes to the emotional energy that we're expending, and also it's forcing us to use our brains in very reasonable and rational ways that are not necessarily the way that our brains want to work in that period of stress. And then, of course, the cognitive load of dealing with your work schedule in parallel to your home schedule, and making sure that all of your ducks are in a row, and that you can be at your meeting and be in the car with your child, or doing all of the things that have to get done concurrently. And then that brings us to the third bucket of energy, which is the physical energy. And the depletion of physical energy that we are feeling. So we know that emotional energy, expending a great deal of emotional energy is exhausting. And we just talked about how expending the cognitive energy that is required of being a working mom is tremendous. It's like project managing for a small company. And then the physical manifestation is, I think, twofold in and of itself. One is that the amount of stress that we're holding due to the emotional energy and the cognitive energy that we're expending, it manifests in our bodies. And the physical manifestation of that stress forces us to expend physical energy. Even if you're sitting still, if you can feel your shoulders clenching, if you can feel your hands clenching, if you're making faces while you're on a Zoom, if you're thinking about multiple things, you are expending physical energy constantly, even when you're sitting still. So I think that is kind of the one prong of the physical energy. And then the other prong of the physical energy is, well, actually, I think there are three. The second prong, I would say, is the pack animal thing. So because we are moving from place to place really quickly, trying to get our kids out the door, trying to get them where they need to be, trying to make sure we are where we need to be, we end up kind of operating as pack animals in a way, and we're holding tons of bags and tons of groceries or snacks or sporting equipment, or, I mean, you name it, we're carrying it. And physically carrying that much from the house to the car, or in the subway, or I often find that I'm bringing my kids' stuff with me to work because it's the only way that they're going to get to where they need to be on time, whatever. So I'm carrying a lot of stuff, and that is expending physical energy. And then just like the number of places that we have to be over the course of a day. If you think about 24 hours in a day and the number of different places, the number of different actual locations that you find yourself in over the course of the day, it really impacts you physically. And so those are the three kind of physical energy prongs that contribute to the dire exhaustion that we feel. And I want to go back to this idea of just kind of accepting or being resigned to the fact that this is just how it is. Like, you have kids and you have a job and you're just tired all the time. You're going to watch TV in bed. You're going to get in bed at the same time as your kids. I find that women that I work with do that a lot because by 8 o'clock they are so burnt. Their brains are so fried that they can't even like function except to watch TV or do something mindless. So I think where I want to land the plane here is that in these ways of expending these enormous amounts of energy in these different directions, we have learned how to rationalize it. So it's even more than the rationale that this is just the way it is. We have built systems that often make things even more difficult for us than they need to be. And that's the kind of point that I want to leave you with. There are ways that you're making your life harder than it needs to be. And finding out what those things are will alleviate some of the energy that you're expending in one of those three categories, or possibly in all of those categories. So I urge you to think about how you are expending your energy, and if there are ways that you can leverage different systems in order to get the same high quality result that you want. If you want to talk about this more, I would love to talk to you on a call, PM me, whatever, and we can discuss options. There are ways that you can feel whole. There are ways that you can feel like you have energy. You don't have to be exhausted all the time. All right, I love you, and I will talk to you later this week. Have a great rest of your day.